Hello and welcome to vChat, episode number 26. This is David Davis from VMwareVideos.com and TrainSignal.
And I'm Simon Seagrave from techhead.co.uk.
And I'm Eric Siebert from vSphereLand.com.
Well, thanks for joining me today, guys, on the latest vChat here. We have a list of some cool topics, some timely topics to talk about. Eric, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, I think it's been a while since we had the last one in that. Been staying busy in that. Lots of work, lots of VMware stuff. You know, it's never a dull moment when you're working with VMware technology, and always something to do.
Simon?
Yeah, same sort of thing. Yeah, really busy at the moment. So I've got EMC World coming up shortly. So the last 6 weeks to 2 months, just been fully immersed in preparing the hands-on labs for that. So yeah, not doing a heck of a lot else apart from living, breathing labs, all vSphere based. So it's been good fun. Just very busy, but yeah, that'll all be over soon, and get a bit of my own time back into my own labs here again. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I last saw you at Charlotte about a month ago at the regional user group, and there you were manning the EMC labs, and actually it was Vero Madness, wasn't it? It wasn't a user group, it was Vero Madness. Yeah. And so that was an awesome show. I'd never been to Vero Madness before. Lots of experts showed up, lots of enthusiastic people. They had a flash mob, an unexpected flash mob during the keynote, which was, very strange, but interesting. And so you were manning the labs there.
Was that planned or just unexpected to the crowd?
Yeah. I'm sure it was planned, okay. But, just unexpected to the crowd. Jason Nash swears he didn't have anything to do with that.
Of course.
Yeah. So you were manning the EMC labs?
Yeah, it was a good event actually. It's the first time I've been to Vero Madness, and I'd heard a lot about it, and you see online when Vero Madness is sort of a week or a couple of weeks out, a lot of hype around it and everything. But I've got to say, it definitely lived up to its reputation. It was a great day. It was definitely an action-packed day. There were a lot of sessions going on, running various streams, running at the same time, but a real good buzz there as well. A lot of people. The people there were definitely very much, passionate about the technology. It was good. So yeah, had some really good conversations with folks there. We had the EMC labs happening there as well. That was good. We had a room off to one side where we were running various labs from. So that was good. But yeah, all round a good day actually.
Yeah, I had a good time there. I talked about VMware certifications, and I was a little concerned that people would, most of the people I already know most of them already have a VCP. But I talked a lot about the VCP, and I had a packed room and people asking me questions after, and they were just, so enthusiastic about, getting their VCP. And so, it was a very receptive audience. I was happy to see that, and a good show.
Yeah, it was a good session actually. I managed to break away to catch your session there actually, so I was standing up at the back of the room there. I don't know if you saw me, but I was at the back there. It was definitely a packed room, and I thought it was good, very, very informative, very good, and it pretty much covered the whole range, people wanting to get their first VMware certification right through to those, wanting to get some of the more advanced accreditations. So no, it was good session.
Yeah, I was happy to have Jason Nash in the back of the room too when I did the VCDX topic, because he was answering questions about that as well. So good stuff. Eric, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of Charlotte, VMUG will be coming up there in about less than 2 weeks, so I'll be attending that. That should be a really good, large VMUG, and that there's a lot of well-known bloggers and community people who are going to be there. Chris Colati will be there, Alan Renouf, I believe Scott Lowe is going to be there, William Lamb, I'll be there as well. So that should be a good event. It's one of the regional VMUGs, so it's one of those bigger VMUGs, and every year VMware puts on these regional VMUGs. I think they typically kick off in March and go to about the end of the year, and they're like VMUGs on steroids. There's a lot more sponsors, a lot more content, multiple tracks, and they're just overall great events. I've been to two already this year, and I'll be hitting a bunch more in that, and just a really good event to just go mingle with all the people, see all the sessions. There's a lot of VMware sessions in that they give. They actually started off with one track of VMware sessions and that. So they had 4 VMware sessions that you can choose from, and they've broken it out into 2 now. So now there's 2 time slots where you can get VMware sessions at. So between all the sponsor sessions, you'll have other opportunities to see VMware sessions as well. And there's some really good speakers, or really technical topics in that. So you can really learn a lot at these events and that, and talk and interact with the vendors. Typically, they have at least 30 vendors on display in the kind of solutions area and that. So really fun events, and if you haven't gone to one, I encourage you to go to the myvmug.org page, and you click on conferences, and then not the local meetings, but I think it's called the user conferences or the regional conferences, and you can see the list of the ones that are upcoming.
Yeah, I went to the Charlotte user group, the regional one, the last couple years, and it's always great. I mean, I think they have between 800 and 1,000 people there. I mean, it's like a mini VMworld. And I'm speaking at the Central Ohio Regional User Group in May, and I've never been to that in Columbus there, where Veeam's headquarters is, and I've been offered a tour of Veeam headquarters by Rick Vanover, Rickatron, and so yeah, that should be fun as well. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Simon, what were you saying?
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, there's the extra.
I was just going to say.
Oh, God.
It's okay. Gotta love that lag. Where you go, Eric?
Yeah. So yeah, they range in size, anywhere from, some of the smaller ones are maybe 300 to 400 people. The biggest one in the U.S. is always Indianapolis VMUG, which I believe is in July, and that. So that one, I guess it pulls from a pretty broad area in that region, and that. So that's always, they say at least 1,000 people at that VMUG, and that. The ones I went to South Florida already, and that was pretty small. They had maybe 300 to 400 people. I went to Silicon Valley. They had Stephen Herod there doing the keynote. Mike Laverick was there. He also did another keynote. And we had just, I think, over 500 people at that one. So really varies, based on the region it's at, and the attendance and that, and how big they get. Some of the bigger ones, you get some of the bigger name speakers, kind of the super speakers, like Chad's or Scott's, or Scott or Steve Herod and that. So, but they're definitely worth checking out, regardless of the size, because there is a lot of content there.
Yeah, definitely. I think the New England VMUG is supposed to be pretty sizable as well. I've never quite made it across to that, but I know that's a good old size as well on the East Coast there.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be another good one to hit.
My local VMUG I've got coming up would be the London VMUG, so that's 17th of May. So anyone UK based listening to this or watching this, definitely head down there. Unfortunately, I won't make it this month because flying out to Vegas a couple of days ahead of time to set things up. But I've seen the lineup should be quite a good one.
And there is a regional one coming to the UK, and I believe it's in November. I know HP is a sponsor of that, and that might be one I actually come out there for. So they're definitely not just in the US. The regionals, they are actually spread across the whole world.
Yeah, definitely, man. You have to come on over. We did the first regional one in the UK here last year, up in Birmingham. And that was definitely a success. It was pretty good. Had some good speakers there, and it was good. Also, these events are very good sort of networking opportunities as well. To catch up with people, maybe people you've spoken to only online before now. Definitely worth heading along to.
Yeah, I agree.
So Simon, tell us about EMC World. It's coming up, right?
Yeah, not far off now. The clock's ticking. We've got a lot of stuff to get done before then, but we'll definitely do it. We're on schedule, so that's a good sign. So so I'm involved with the preparation work around the hands-on labs there. So we've got a 200-seat hands-on lab environment there, pretty much covering any EMC products. So anyone out there going along to that who wants to try out some EMC products, whether you're an existing EMC customer or not, we've pretty much got every product covered. The great thing as well, we've been working very closely with the business units within the EMC, and they have been very supportive around providing virtualized instances of the products. So pretty much, when you come along, the vast majority of the labs, when you sit down, are actually running virtualized instances of everything, from our storage products right through to our backup, our deduplication products, and what have you. So, we've even got a virtualized instance of the big old VMAX there as well. So it's pretty good. Obviously, this is non-commercial stuff. It's not, it's not for retail or for commercial use at all. They're literally, it's just for lab purposes only. But obviously, it's very good from a training perspective and for people to come along and, really just, kick the tires on any of these products. Because as you can imagine, a 200-seat environment, potentially you could have 200 people come along and want to sit, a single lab, for example, a VMAX lab, and you can imagine having to have an environment with 200 VMAXs, or, VNXs or something similar sitting on the back end spun up. So that's why virtualization really comes into its own for events like this. But, but apparently the amount of people attending got pretty good numbers this year, so should prove to be a good event. So really looking forward to it. Back out in Vegas again as well. So haven't been to Vegas since trying to think. I think probably since EMC World last year, actually. There's been a few other events out there which I couldn't make it to, unfortunately. But Vegas is always an interesting one to go and visit. So so anyone heading out to EMC World, swing past the labs, come and say hi. Love to meet you and catch up. Might try and sneak in a V-Beers whilst we're over there as well.
Sounds cool. Eric, what about EMC or HP Discover?
Yeah, it's coming up as well. That's in the first week of June. I believe it's June 4th through 7th, and that again is Las Vegas. That's a place I've been to more than I wanted to in the last few months, and so it's gonna be a really good event. A lot of stuff there in that. I'll be speaking and presenting at 2 different sessions. One will actually be a panel, kind of Ask the Expert session on storage for virtualization and that. So if you're going to HP Discover, be sure and swing by and register for that one and attend that. And it's typically they're pretty big events. We get, I think, just over last year it was over 10,000 people at that one, and you see a lot of the latest HP gear, the new Gen 8 servers and things like that, and hands-on labs and all that. So it should be a real good event.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about announcements. Were there any big announcements? EMC World, obviously, we always keep a few back for a few biggies for EMC World, so we've got some big announcements coming. But I was wondering, you guys, HP Discovery, same thing?
I'm not sure, actually. I haven't been too plugged into that part of it and that. I've been kind of working on the session planning and that, but as far as announcement-wise, I'm not sure what they plan on that. I'm sure they'll have some.
Yeah. Well, the Gen 8 servers, that'll be good to have a look at the Gen 8 servers.
Yeah, that stuff looks pretty cool, actually. I'm waiting to kind of see that in person. There'll be a lot of stuff there and that get my hands on that stuff. That looks like pretty cool tech.
Yeah, might be able to take home a few giveaways, right? A few server giveaways, a few demos for your home lab.
Wish they'd come out with a Gen 8 microserver. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Nothing new on that front at all. I am hearing rumors, but nothing substantiated at the moment. But yeah,
I got 2 of those microservers. We did do a processor bump on a few months back. So basically the same unit, but they umped the CPU speed on it a little bit and that. So great little servers. I really enjoy, the great form factor are small. They don't take up a lot of power. They do hold a lot of drives. From memory capacity standpoint, you don't get a lot there or CPU, but it's great for doing basic stuff and it works real well for me in that. I'm not running huge workloads in my environment, so I really enjoy using those in my lab.
Yeah, they're definitely pretty good. I think you definitely need to have some sort of additional storage device to run your VMs off of.
Yeah.
My experience with them trying to run VMs locally off the onboard storage controller pretty slow, but the rest of it's fine. And to be honest with you, the majority of people anyway sort of generally have a small storage NAS or something kicking around in their labs anyway. So. But that said, even if you do run them locally, it's still usable. You just can't run as many VMs just because the controller starts to bottleneck after a while.
Yeah, I got the iOmega, the PX, and a Synology in my unit, so those are great to offload that stuff, and great small little units where you can, I'd say almost a must-have in a lab. Just get one of those little, even if it's a 2-drive unit, you still get the benefit of shared storage. You can use things like the iSCSI NFS on those and that, be able to experience all those features that require shared storage in vSphere.
I've seen some people buy their microserver and actually use that, but what they do is, because over here in the UK they're still going for about £100, so they're still pretty good with the rebate. But I've seen people just buy a couple of, three microservers and use one of them as for example, like an OpenFire 3 NAS box, and then they just use software RAID across the disks.
I think there's 4 drives you can put in that, so you can get pretty good capacity.
Yeah, 4 drives.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I've been looking for something to run Hyper-V 3 on. What's the maximum amount of memory you can put in a microserver?
I think it's 8, right?
8 gigs. Yeah.
8 gigs?
Yeah, so it's a little bit limited in that respect. Yeah, it'd be kind of nice if they brought out a sort of like an Uber version, as it were, that's similar to the 110s where you could get 16 gigs into that. Yeah, definitely with my I've got an ML110 G6, I've got G7 in there as well, and what I started doing was actually just mucking around, was starting to use a few of the VSA's, virtual storage appliances, actually on the box itself. So not so good on the microservers. The 110s a little bit better performance-wise, but yeah, you still can't beat having a standalone NAS or SAN device, low entry-level type thing.
Yeah, the 110s get you that more memory capacity up to 16 gig. That's what I got 2 of those as well, and they get you more expansion too. You could put more cards and NICs in it, stuff like that. I got, I think, 6 NICs total with my dual ports in mine and that. So it's a great, and it's not that much more. I think here in the U.S. The microserver is around $350, and you can get an ML110 for about another 100, 150 more. And then to make the jump up to the greater capacity is like the ML150 and that, where you can, I think it holds a lot more RAM, actually dual physical sockets for CPUs and things like that. And that one's actually on the vSphere compatibility list. So if you want something that's officially supported, that one's there. So, and that's not only, I think maybe another 200 more over the ML110. So it's going for about $700 and that. So they're all great lab servers and that you want something cheap. You want something that supports all the features in vSphere and that, there's a couple options there to choose from.
Yeah. I've had a bit of a, I don't know, I've had an urge to go out and build another white box. Not for my vSphere environment, but more for my main desktop here. Sort of, it's about 3-4 years old now, and it's okay, but it doesn't quite cut it when it comes to, video transcoding, things like that. So that's going to be my next little project, I think.
Yeah, I just actually did that with Diablo 3 coming out in less than 2 weeks now. I wanted my supercomputer and that, so I went to Micro Center, but all the parts, the latest i7, the big i7, they had the 2600 CPU loaded up with the fast RAM, SSD drives, the whole works and that. So I'm set for Diablo 3, super fast video card and that, and so I'm waiting, and it would make a great box as well for using Workstation on. Got a lot of RAM in it, fast CPU, a total of 8 cores and that. And so, if you don't want to do the server route, doing things like using Workstation or just plain white box with ESXi installed directly on it, that's another good option as well. Usually I typically find that the cost is pretty almost even as buying a fully configured server in a lot of cases. You get sometimes be able to get a little bit cheaper out of a white box, but the white boxes can sometimes be a bit of a challenge to, assemble all the parts that, they're going to work and be compatible and all that. So I've kind of gone back and forth over the years. I've kind of just stuck with the server just to avoid the hassle of, I know the server's going to work rather than the white box could take some, a lot of work to get that going sometimes.
Yeah. It's funny, there's definitely 2 schools of thoughts there, isn't there? There's people that prefer to run sort of, almost dedicated small entry-level servers or, storage appliances versus those folks that like to have a single white box and just run virtualized, ESX instances and nested VMs under Workstation. The only downside with that, I guess, is the benefit of having your own dedicated service to do stuff. At least you can just leave it turned on. Whereas if you're wanting to do something in the background, for example, let's say you're in Photoshop or you were doing some video editing or transcoding or something like that, it could affect your VMs that are running in the background. That's the only downside. But definitely from a power usage standpoint, I can definitely see the benefits of running everything on a single box. It probably, like you say, would work out cheaper as well, less components to buy, albeit probably faster and more memory, etc. But
yeah, cool stuff. In my lab, I've got a Synology 2, just like Eric has. I've got a DS211 Plus.
Okay, that's what I got.
I've really been impressed with okay? I've been impressed with the interface and all the things you can do with it. I mean, I turned it into a VPN server, so I can VPN from my iPad now, like while I'm at Starbucks and,
cool.
Access the home network. Yeah, and you can even load like WordPress on it. I mean, this little Synology can do all this kind of crazy stuff I wouldn't expect. It's got nice performance charts, so you can see utilization and such. But I've been impressed with it. I've got a Drobo on the way I'm going to be evaluating, so I'm excited to to see what kind of performance, that's going to offer. They've got some pretty cool stuff. They're, beyond RAID and all this, where you can mix and match different size drives, and you don't have to configure specific RAID, types. So it's an interesting concept. But I really didn't realize how much data I had until I tried to move it. I've got like a terabyte of virtual machines and 500 gigs of just junk, and then you try to copy it, from one NAS to the other, and it's like 12 hours, or something.
If they
cool stuff.
If they support USB 3, it almost kind of works out better in that if you can, I know the PX that I have here has a USB 3 port, so you could copy to a USB 3 drive, and that, I got a removable Western Digital USB 3 drive I could plug in and copy data, and then you can plug it into the other one and probably get it faster that way than dragging it over the network and that. That's a Synology I've always been impressed with because they have a robust feature set that's across all their products and that. So no matter what product, if you go down to the even simple 2-drive all the way up to the bigger units, you get the same features, functionality across all their units. And, like you said, it covers pretty much, it's a whole toolkit of different protocols, different features. You want to run security cameras, it's got all that type of features. All the protocol support, it has all that built in and that. So I was pretty impressed with those units as well.
Yeah, it could be a mail server even.
Yeah,
pretty crazy.
It's pretty robust.
But
I've never used a Synology myself. I've got in the labs here. I've got an IX. I've got a PX as well, iMegas, and I've got what's the other one I've got now? Sorry, I haven't used it for a while now, but I've got a Drobo as well. I've got a Drobo Pro. Getting a little bit longer in the tooth now, but that was a good device for just basic iSCSI stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, but the Synologies, they always look good as well.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have heard about a conference called vScience. It's more of a workshop that Edward Halecki's putting on.
Oh, really?
And he's got Scott Lowe is going to be one of the speakers. I'm going to be one of the speakers. Cody Bunch. He's got a few other people, and it's supposed to be like a small conference with, more of in a workshop format where the attendees actually start out and they'll do a 2-hour like deep dive on, vSphere inner workings, and then a 2-hour deep dive on cloud and automation, then on networking, then on storage, and they'll have like a case study where throughout the day, actually a 2-day conference, they build up, their sort of design. It's like their job to use this case study, whatever, to sort of do homework after each session and during the sessions and at night. Then they'll have access to lab gear, and at the end, they sort of have to turn in their homework, and we have like a big group discussion with a panel and stuff. So it's an interesting concept. It's called vScience. It's in end of July down in Austin, Texas.
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
That sounds cool.
That sounds pretty cool. It sounds like a lot of work, but it sounds very, very good.
And equipment, too.
Yeah, it's also supposed to be unbiased, so it's not just VMware. It's supposed to be, any sort of virtualization and cloud technology. So I'll be doing a deep dive on virtualization networking. So that means I have to start brushing up on, all forms of, virtual networking, not just, what vSphere does. So interesting stuff.
And the word science here, is that just kind of to imply that it's more of a technical type of thing?
Yeah, that it's more of a deep dive. It's not a product marketing type thing. Okay. Yeah.
So it's not the typical
That's good. It is.
Stuff you'd get at like a regular conference.
Right. Well, it's good to have it the hypervisor neutral as well, so that'll be interesting. I mean, I'm guessing the majority of people coming along will probably do a case study or base theirs on VMware. But no, it's good to see that hopefully there'll be a few more of the other people looking at the other vendors. Just for a bit of quality across it, makes it interesting as well because quite often it's hard to keep up what all the other vendors are doing with their hypervisor offerings as well. So it's quite good talking to other people that are perhaps using it or looking at using it. So I think it gives you a better balanced view on everything and features and functions available, Yeah,
it'll be interesting too because there's not going to be any sponsors except for Rackspace, I think, who's providing the lab equipment.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, it'll be strange to be at a conference with no sponsors, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Well, it's good too. A lot of times you don't have to, the overhead of all the sponsor stuff that typically, the sponsors have to provide because they're paying for the conference and that. So, this kind of cuts that out and lets you get straight to the meat and, be able to, jump into that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it work? Do you have to pay to attend, or is it free to attend? I imagine you have to pay something.
You have to pay to attend. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the cost. It's under 2,000, between 1,000 and 2,000. I don't know the exact price, and it varies, of course, based on when you register and stuff.
Is there a website or something associated with it?
Yeah, I think it's vsciencellc.com.
Okay.
You can just Google vScience, and you'll find it.
Okay.
Let's have a look.
So let's move on. Let's talk about vExpert 2012. Congratulations, guys. I heard you've been awarded vExperts.
Yeah,
Me too.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. That's a pleasant surprise.
Another year.
I guess we don't need to do an award show with John.
Yep.
He could list every vExpert. No, that might be a long show. But
like a 12-hour show, yeah.
Yeah.
There was, I think, close to 500 this year, between 400 and 500, I think.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I had thought. And this is the fourth year. And that, so, I think it's steadily, that first year, I think it was under 300 and that, and they've kind of kept it around that, and they changed the criteria this year, so now, VMware employees can actually be eligible, where in previous years, VMware employees were not eligible to be a vExpert in that, so that's changed, and you can now, we got that kind of, because a lot of those people operate independently of their role at VMware and that, like look at Duncan on his website, and some of the other guys have their own websites that they run independent of VMware and that, so that gives them kind of that recognition that, previously they weren't able to get because, all those VMware employees were locked out of that program.
Yeah, so were you guys, I think there's like 3 or 4 different types now. Evangelist and different forms of vExpert. Is that right?
Yeah, evangelist, partner, and I think one other. I can't remember what it was.
It should be vEvangelist.
Yeah, I think that was. Was that more during the nomination process? Because I don't know. Actually, I haven't seen the final list yet. But have they split the final list out into categories?
No, and they won't. It was on the application. You got to pick essentially the track that you felt yourself were kind of fit. But they're not splitting it out publicly in that. It's only for their internal thing, and that they won't actually show it differently on the website. Everybody's a vExpert regardless of what kind of area that they fit in. So they may expand that out.
Oh yeah, I see the list now.
Yeah, the directory.
434.
Okay. Yeah, there's a directory on VMware's website that lists everybody there, a public directory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got your VMTN username and Twitter handle.
Yeah.
And they'll have a better directory, or they have a directory, right?
They do. It's got all the basic information that each person has to go in and actually fill out, kind of their background, their bio, information about themselves, some contact info if they wish, and that. So, it allows people that, outside of the vExpert group to be able, if they want to maybe contact or see people in their area, and that you can kind of go in there and just browse through just to see who, exactly is a vExpert.
Good stuff. No, but congratulations to everyone that's made it, and especially those people that made it for the first year this time as well. That's good on you.
Yeah, there was a lot of new people. I saw that spreadsheet that listed all the people, and it listed the years previously in that, and I saw a lot in there that were new for the first time this year, and that I know they've kind of changed the criteria across years in that, and that's changed a little bit. So they've tried to open it up a little bit more, both open it up and get a little bit more restrictive at the same time, and that. So, but they have kind of broadened the group now, and it is over 400 now, so it is a bigger bunch.
Yeah, if you want some interesting stats on that, so Tommy Trogdon, who runs the vTexan website, he obviously had too much time on his hands one weekend or one evening, so he went through and he actually, I think, loaded a lot of the details into a spreadsheet, or at least did something with it. So he's got all these. If you check out his site, search for the particular blog post on it, but he did a load of statistics So, how many how many vExperts didn't make it from last year that made it this year? How many vExperts there's been that have managed to continue to hold on to the title from 2009 on through?
Okay.
All sorts of really weird,
cool.
wonderful different stats based off the last 3 or so years of the vExperts. So definitely
cool.
check that out. It's an interesting read. Yeah, pretty good.
And speaking of blogs and websites, I finally got my vLaunchpad updated, and that's with the whole all the winners that we announced previously. In that, instead of just identifying the top 25, I expanded it out to the top 50 now. So you can. There's just so many. There's over 200 blogs now that I figure just displaying 25, upping up to 50 gives you a bit more. And it can fit a lot more blogs in there and give a lot more recognition that way. So all that's updated in that. It's always a challenge to update that thing. It's a painful process for me. I have to cut and paste all these things in alphabetical order and rearrange things in that. So it takes a lot of work, but it's all up to date. And you just go to the vpad.com. You can see all that there.
Cool. And then you also have top 25 blogs. Is there a website, or I know there's a Twitter handle?
Yeah, there's the Planet I have that's an aggregator of all those blogs, and I got to actually put the top 50 in there now. It's only the top 25 currently in that. That is, if you just go to the vpad.com, there's a link for it there. I think it's just at feed.vsphereland.com as well, and that basically you can actually follow that as well. So if you want to see all the new blog posts that come up as people write them, they're all tweeted out. So if you just follow that account, there's a link when you go to that website. You can follow it and be updated, or you can use RSS to follow that website and see, similar to the Planet V12N, but this one just focuses on the top bloggers and not everything as a whole.
Cool. So lately, I'll just give you guys an update on what I've been working on. I completed my vCloud Director Essentials course for Train Signal here, and
I saw that announced the other day. Yeah. Quite interested in that, actually. We're dealing a lot with vCloud Director with the labs, so we're using 1.5 for all the EMC hands-on labs this year, and it's been interesting, actually. I quite like it as a product, actually. I was a bit skeptical initially, but I definitely see the value and the power of it. When you really start using it, it is amazing what it can do. I mean, like any product, it's got a few quirks and what have you that you can get used to, but I've been really impressed with it, actually. At some stage I wouldn't mind checking that out, actually, sort of fill in the gaps.
Yeah, absolutely. I was impressed with it as a product as well. I mean, I also have to, try to caution people that it's probably not a product that every shop needs at this point. It's not for everyone, but it is something that probably every VMware admin needs to learn about or, get started learning about. So, it really is impressive cloud product. And I have to also remember it's still at version 1.51, I think is the latest. It's like three revisions so far. So, I think they've got a long way to go. And then Jason Nash, VCDX, he released a vSphere Advanced Networking course from Train Signal. So it's like kind of a deep dive into vSphere networking. Yeah, I want to check that out. Of course, we released View 5, but now View 5.1 came out. So we need a slight update there. But
it's never ending.
Yeah. And then I'm proud to say that EMC's Scott Lowe is working on a vSphere 5 design course for us. It should be out in the next few months.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So I think that's good. That's going to be really popular. I've been listening to some of his lessons, and I've actually learned a lot. And I want to use that knowledge to go take my DCD. But it's a really cool course. He's a smart guy, very smart guy.
Oh, cool. Look forward to seeing that.
Look forward to that. Actually, DCD is probably going to be the next one I go for, I think, if possible, when I get time. But I look forward to that. You guys are getting some pretty good titles in there now. Pretty much covering the whole gambit. Everyone from the beginners right through to more advanced stuff. So it looks really good.
Yeah, trying to keep the topics flowing. There's just so many things to talk about, new products all the time. People have been asking about vCops, training, the new vCenter operations. Yeah, and I'm writing an article on, I think it's called vCenter Infrastructure Navigator, which is like an additional piece on top of vCops that does application inspection inside of virtual machines. So I've been learning about that. A lot of just so many new products from VMware all the time.
Tough to keep up.
Yeah, I heard they're doing a public.
Busy.
Yeah, I heard they're doing a public beta of Octopus. I haven't, although I went to the website and you couldn't download Octopus.
Oh, really?
Okay. But I guess they soon will have one.
The Dropbox,
interesting.
Yeah.
Technology.
Yeah, wouldn't mind checking that out.
Dropbox. Yeah.
Yeah, have you seen in that space? It's actually got very competitive recently. Actually, Microsoft with their SkyDrive, they've basically revamped that. They've got a new pricing model out around it. They've got a client for the iPad and iPhone now, which sort of coincided a lot of those releases with Google also announcing their sort of Dropbox looky-likey product. So it's definitely hotting up in that space now, and obviously with VMware coming in with Octopus, but further down the track, it's I think a lot of these companies see the value of it now. I mean, I'm still an avid Dropbox user myself.
Same here.
And definitely a good product.
I really find no reason to leave Dropbox. I like all the functionality. It would be nice if it was priced a little bit cheaper. I think with these other players out now, that may drive the pricing down. And that I got the 50 gig level right now. I'd like to have more, but it's double the price to go from 50 to 100. So, but it's good that there's a lot more competition there. And the Octopus one is going to be more focused on the enterprise, where Dropbox initially was focused on consumer, and I think it kind of migrated to the enterprise. I've seen some. When I've had to transfer data up to iOmega or something like that, they have their own kind of Dropbox dedicated site. So yeah, it's good. There's a lot of choices now in that, and a lot of competition in that space.
Yeah, definitely around pricing.
I was just going to say I'm interested in. I saw a new product. It's actually an iPad app called Cloud On, and it interfaces with your Dropbox account. So what Cloud On does is it gives you basically a Microsoft Office suite. I mean, it's the real Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So you can edit those types of documents, but it interfaces with Dropbox. So you give it your Dropbox credentials, and it shows your directory in Dropbox, and that's where it's storing all your files. So the files stay in Dropbox, but you're editing them on an iPad with your Office apps. So it's pretty cool, actually. I've been trying to turn my iPad into a laptop replacement. So I got the Zagfolio keyboard, the Bluetooth keyboard here.
Okay.
And so I've got Cloud On, and as long as I have internet access, I can access all my Dropbox files and then edit them with Word and Excel, and it works pretty well.
Huh, cool. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, looks good. Nice looking keyboard.
Oh yeah, thanks. There's also another one called OnLive Desktop, where it's actually a virtual desktop subscription service. So you pay $5 a month, and you get a full desktop with Internet Explorer and everything.
Rent a VDI.
Exactly, rent a VDI, and it's got the tablet extensions, I guess, loaded in Windows. So it's easier to tap and stuff instead of just using Wise Pocket Cloud, let's say.
Okay.
But yeah, some interesting stuff. I'm hoping to one day go 100%, software as a service, and not have any applications local, and get a new laptop, and it's just all on in the cloud somewhere.
Yeah, but you got to be always connected.
That's pretty good.
Can't use it in an airplane or.
Yeah, that's the only downside. That's a great idea, and to lose internet connectivity, that's the only problem.
Yeah, that's true.
These days, how often does that happen?
Yeah, but the Dropbox client, even on the iPad, is real easy. You just go in, you mark stuff, favorites, and it stores it offline and downloads it.
Yep.
So I'm on the plane and I can read it like that, and so interesting.
Cool.
We'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I was over in the States, quite a bit recently with the project, but I've been really tempted on many occasions, especially going through duty free, to pick up an iPad 3, but I still can't justify it. I'm still running an iPad 1 at the moment, and
Same here.
It's fine. It does what I want it to do. It's starting to get a bit slow now. Every software update they bring out, they're slowing it up more and more, so it will get to the point where it'll be unusable, but it's still hanging in there for the time being. I just can't justify the expenditure, unfortunately, but I like the idea of the new screen on that. That looks pretty slick.
One thing for me would be the more memory to store stuff at. I'm at 16 gig, and I always fill that up. So I'd like to get up to 32. So that'd be my main driver for upgrading to a new one is space. And the other stuff is nice to have, but to me, it's not really a must-have.
I think 32 is the sweet spot. Yeah.
Yeah. I just bought iMovie and iPhoto for the iPad because I wanted to try out, how can you really edit movies and fix up photos, on an iPad? So I've still got the iPad 2. I don't have the 3, but I'm interested to see, just how useful can this device be with these new applications.
Huh.
Yeah, it was interesting, the reports back you're hearing about the iPad 3 after, it's pretty extreme use. But tell you what, you go into your Apple store, so those iPad 3s that are sitting in there on the demos, they've been on there all day. So, there's a whole thing about them running so hot, and it's interesting. So I went into been into a couple of Apple stores now, and you pick them up and feel the back, and it's interesting. They do definitely run significantly hotter. I mean, admittedly, these ones are on probably 15, 16 hours a day perhaps, but, even still the iPad one, even running it for that long, that extended period of time, I can never remember it running quite that hot. So that's
it's because of that enhanced Retina display. They got to push a lot more CPU power to power that thing, so that really drives the heat up and the CPU usage up when they're doing that. So, and that's why they had to really expand the battery on that one, was because they were going to use so much more power. They made the battery a lot bigger on that one to be able to not drop in battery time. So.
Yeah. For average use, I don't see it being a big deal at all. Even if it does get a little bit warm, it's it's going to be useful in winter. Keep your hands warm.
Yeah, exactly. It's cold winter nights. Heat the room up.
Bring it right
I just love it for travel. I mean, the battery life, on a plane, and even my brand new laptop, the battery still, even though it says 6 hours, it still lasts around 2. So, when you take a long plane ride, to me, the iPad is just such a great productivity tool with long battery life.
Totally. Yep. I bring mine on every airplane.
Yeah, I'm the same. My MacBook Pro lasts about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on what I'm doing. So, I look forward to it when it's interesting. this was last year sometime, but I flew, I think it was United, and it was one of their newer planes from UK to the US, and it was interesting. I was flying economy, as I always do, but, in the seat there, they actually had a proper power plug in economy seats.
Oh, wow.
So I'd imagine going forward, hopefully with everyone sort of having this dependence on electronic devices and having to keep them charged, I'm kind of hoping some of the other airlines, such as BA or Virgin, when they refresh their fleet or do the upgrades, interior fit-outs again, they'll put power plugs in the seats. So,
especially on longer flights where you tend to run out of juice.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool.
So one thing I've got to mention, though, guys, I think you could be related. You got matching T-shirts there.
We do. We're both nerds.
Very cool.
We're almost out of them. I think at Train Signal finally. I think we've almost run out of V-Nerd shirts. So now these will be limited edition, unavailable any longer until a new shirt comes out in 2012 at VMworld.
Cool.
I hope. Yeah.
Collector's item. They'll be selling on eBay for thousands.
That's right. So, this has been a great vChat, guys. Hey, Eric, anything else to add?
No, I'm good.
All right. Simon?
No, that's pretty much everything from me. I've got to head out and take the dog for a quick walk now. So, but great talking to you guys. And, I hope we get to do it sometime soon.
Definitely.
Yeah. In our next vChat, we'll have to talk about, EMC World and HP Discover and, some other conferences and who knows, VMworld will probably have a new product out by then. So, it'll be exciting. Stay tuned.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you for watching this episode of vChat, the latest in virtualization and cloud computing news and how-to. Eric, Simon, and David want your feedback, so send questions or ideas for future vChat topics to vchat@trainsignal.com.